Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. In this lecture, which is related to the excretion, first of all, today we are going to discuss the structure of the kidneys and the excretory system and how the excretory products they are being produced. So let's start. First of all, when we are going to learn the structure of the kidneys. Now, if we talk about the excretory system, now our excretory system, it is composed of two kidneys. There are two ureters. There is one urinary bladder. And then there is urethra, which is also sometimes referred as urogenital duct. First of all, I'm going to draw the excretory system. Now this is one kidney and this is the second kidney. Now when I draw these kidneys, if you guys observe that I have drawn the left kidney a little bit higher than the right kidney. After drawing this, I'm drawing these structures. These are the ureters. I will label them afterwards. Then this is the excretory system. Now if we label them, this is the right kidney. You guys have learned that we always label the organs of our body according to their original position. So this over here is the right kidney. This over here, it is the left kidney. And these both are the ureters. And then this is urinary bladder. Urinary bladder opens up into this tube, which is called as urethra. Now, at the base of the urinary bladder and at the junction of the urethra here, we have very important sphincter muscles. Now these sphincter muscles are not only present over here, they are present in our different organs as well. Now these muscles, they are called as sphincter muscles. Now these sphincter muscles, they are involuntary in young kids and they are voluntary in the adults and the older kids. Means that the involuntary muscles later on change into voluntary muscles as the age increase. This is the reason that the younger kids, they are unable to control their urination and they urinate whenever the urinary bladder is filled up without telling their parents or without going to the loo. While the older kids and the adults, they can control these sphincter muscles, and once the urinary bladder is filled, now over here there are baroreceptors, the pressure receptors, they will send the message to the brain, and you see at that time the older kids and the adults, they will be able to hold these sphincter muscles close, and you see this urine will not come out until or unless the message is sent from the brain, and these sphincter muscles, they let the urine to pass out through the urethra. Now next I'm going to explain the structure of a kidney. Now, first of all, we are going to draw the kidney. Now, after drawing the layout of the kidney, next step what we are going to do, we are going to draw these lines over here. After drawing these lines, we make these triangle like structures. We label everything. Now if you see, after drawing these triangle like structures, the kidney is now divided into two portions. The outermost layer of the kidney, that is called as capsule, and it is made up of a tough connective tissue. Inner the capsule, this area of the kidney, it is called as renal cortex, and then this area of the kidney, it is called as renal medulla. Now the renal cortex, it is dark red in color. Now question is, why is it so much dark red in color? Why it is darker in color? That is because of extensive supply of the blood vessels over here. Well, the renal medulla, it is the area which is lighter in color because it contains the most of the loop of the Henle of the nephrons, which we are going to talk about in the next lecture, and the urine formation takes place over here. That is why the renal medulla, it is lighter in color. Now these structures, which are triangle shaped structures, these structures are called as renal pyramids. Now some of the portion of the nephrons is present in the cortex area, and some of the portion is present in the renal medulla area and in the renal pyramids. Next thing, that a blood vessel that enters into the kidney, and the blood vessel that enters into the kidney through this area, which is called as pelvis, I will label this later. This blood vessel, it is called as renal artery. Now definitely it is bringing the oxygenated blood, but it is also carrying the blood which contains a lot of waste substances in it, which needs to be removed, which needs to be excreted out of the body. Then this blood vessel goes out of the kidney and takes the clean blood out. Now this blood vessel, it is called as renal vein. Now this area of the kidney, it is called as renal pelvis. Now let me give you a little idea that when this artery enters into the kidney, this artery divides into arterioles, and these arterioles, first of all, they go in between these renal pyramids. Now these arteries or these arterioles which go in between the renal pyramids, these are called as lobar arterioles. And when these arterioles, then they become parallel to these renal pyramids, to the base of the renal pyramids, like this. When these arterioles, they become parallel to the renal pyramid's base, then they are called as arcuate arterioles. Now these arcuate arterioles, then they divide to form afferent arteriole, which later on divide to form the glomerulus, and we will learn about that in detail during the lecture about the nephron structure and its function. Now eventually these afferent arteriole divides to form glomerulus, and then glomerulus changes into efferent arteriole, then which changes into peritubular and vasa recta, those capillaries, and eventually they join to become arcuate venules, and arcuate venules, they change into lobar venule, and those lobar venules, they come over here and they eventually join and they form this renal vein. Now, next thing which we are going to discuss over here, that at the apex of these renal pyramids over here, there are openings like this. Now these openings, they are called as renal papillae. Let me label these. These openings, these are called as renal papillae. The next thing, that these renal papillae, then they have special large and small tubes which are coming out of here, and they make the grooves, and they, you see, eventually lead it towards the renal pelvis. Structures like this. I will draw another diagram at the end without the blood vessels to show these structures. Now if you see over here, they are narrower and then they become wider over here. Now these are called as minor and major calyces depending on to the diameter. Now over here, the diameter is narrower, so here they are called as minor calyces, and where the diameter is wider over here, they are referred as major calyces. Now let me label more than one. So these are called as major calyces. So this is all about the structure of the kidney, which you guys need to know. Again, remember that there is the capsule which is covering the whole kidney, which is actually the connective tissue, and all the organs, they always have connective tissues around them. Then inner to that they have the renal cortex, and then after that renal cortex, inner to that they have the lighter area, the renal cortex, which is dark red in color because of the excessive supply of the blood vessels. They have the renal medulla, which is the lighter area. Then we'll discuss that these structures, which are rectangle shaped, they are called as renal pyramids, and at the apex of the renal pyramids they have the renal papillae, and renal papillae, they open up into these crevices which are shorter in size. They are called as minor calyces, which then become bigger, and they are called as major calyces. Then we discussed that a blood vessel enters inside the kidney, and that blood vessel which is entering is called as renal artery. Then I told you that this renal artery divides into arterioles, and the first one is called as lobar arteriole. Then this one, which is parallel to the base of the renal pyramid, that is called as arcuate arteriole. Then it divides into afferent arteriole, which divides into glomerulus, and then glomerulus joins together to make efferent arteriole, which divides to peritubular capillaries and the vasa recta, and which eventually join to form the venules. And you do not need to memorize all these names, it is just for your information. So this is all you need to know about the kidney. But one last thing which I need to tell you guys about the nephrons, that the nephrons, they are present over here like this. So this is a nephron in the kidney. Now there are two types of nephrons. I will explain about those two types of nephron when I will explain about the structure of the nephron in the next lecture. So I conclude this lecture over here. See you guys inshallah in next lecture. Goodbye. Allah Hafiz.